There is no sacred secular divide. Amos told the people in Amos 5:21-24 that there is no sacred secular divide. I'll read that section now from the Message paraphrase of the Bible. I can't stand your religious meetings. I'm fed up with your conferences and conventions. I want nothing to do with your religious projects, your pretentious slogans and goals. I'm sick of your fundraising schemes, your public relations and image making. I've had all that I can take of your noisy ego music. When was the last time you sang to me? Do you know what I want? I want justice, oceans of it. I want fairness, rivers of it. That's what I want. That's all I want. You see, the people were going along to their religious festivals nicely enough, but God wanted them to stop doing that and instead sort out how they were operating outside of those meetings during the rest of their week. Specifically, God hated, he even despised their weekly services to him because of how they were operating during the rest of the week. What were they doing? What was it about their singing and their worship band that was so upsetting to him? It was how they were working during the rest of their week that was upsetting God. Perhaps it was how they treated their co-workers on Monday morning. Or perhaps it was how they marketed their products on Wednesdays. Or perhaps it was how they sold their products on Fridays. God's logic went something like this. How can they work in their jobs in a way that upsets me and then think that I'll enjoy their worship meetings? Don't they see that they're all linked in my eyes? There is no sacred secular divide. Indeed, the secular is to be viewed by every believer as very sacred because God is in it with them. When we work during the week, we display our characters, and we also display the character of the one whom we're honestly worshipping. God loves to particularly see two character traits guiding and motivating our actions during our working weeks. These are justice and righteousness. And you see, we're told elsewhere in the Bible that justice and righteousness are the foundations for all that God does. But the people whom Amos was addressing here had no such bedrock. They were not being just and righteous. Indeed, they were displaying a very different set of character traits during their working week. And those other character traits were then polluting their worship services. God uses two pictures of flowing water to illustrate how justice and righteousness should flow out of us throughout our working weeks. Kind of like metaphoric rivers of righteousness flowing out from our desks and streams of justice flowing out from our websites. Righteousness and justice are wonderful inner drivers, but they'll never remain hidden inside of us. They cause us to do things differently, to act differently, to work differently. So at work, where we're often the most busy, our characters will be the most obvious to all around us. Are we righteous and fair in all our ways? Or do we cut corners in our actions? So Amos shows us something incredible. Now, I mean no disrespect to churches as I say this next point, but our business dealings can be more spiritually pleasing to God than our singing in church on Sunday. Indeed, our Sunday services are literally set into a series of working weeks, like an expensive ring where a single diamond is held in its place by clasps on a gold band. The diamond of our songs on Sunday is held in its place by the gold ring of our actions displayed through our working week. Let nobody ever elevate church services as being sacred, whilst your office or your factory is somehow unimportant to God. God's enjoyment of your Sunday service may reflect precisely how he sees you within your working week. God could be loving your songs on Sunday exactly because of the way that you're outworking his righteousness and fairness in your offices or your factories during the rest of the week. Would your work colleagues describe your output at work as a constant flow of fresh, good, true, and fair things? Because there is no sacred secular divide.